What if one night your bank card started giving you money? Real money, not a few bucks, not even a few thousand, but hundreds of thousands of dollars, day after day, and no one seemed to notice. That's exactly what happened to Dan Saunders, a 29-year-old bartender living in rural Australia. In 2011, while out drinking with a friend, Dan ran out of cash. He went to an ATM, tried to transfer $200 from his credit account, but the transaction was canceled. Yet when he checked his balance, it had gone up by $200. Curious, he tried again. Same result, failed transfer, but the money appeared. That night, Dan had unknowingly discovered a glitch in the banking system. At first, Dan took a few hundred, then thousands, then tens of thousands. It didn't take long before he was living like royalty. He chartered private jets, stayed in luxury resorts, hired escorts, and sipped $5,000 bottles of wine. And the bank? They didn't seem concerned. They would occasionally call Dan to confirm it was him who had used the card when it was used to charge unusually large amounts. But as long as he confirmed, there didn't seem to be a problem. On one occasion, a member of staff from the bank called to ask why Dan had tried to withdraw $900,000 from an ATM the previous night. He told them he had been drunk and had probably pressed the wrong buttons. They laughed and left it at that. But Dan wasn't a hardened criminal. He'd never even had a speeding ticket. The weight of what he was doing began to crush him. He started having panic attacks. He couldn't sleep. He gained weight. His relationship fell apart. And after 4 months and an estimated $1.6 million in unauthorized transfers, he stopped. He waited for the knock on the door, but nothing happened. Days turned into months, then years. 3 years later, burdened by guilt and desperate for closure, Dan did the unthinkable. He went public. He told his story on national television, exposing everything. That's when the police finally stepped in. In 2015, Dan was charged with over 100 counts of fraud and theft. He spent 1 year in prison, was given 18 months of community service, and ordered to repay $250,000. Today, Dan Saunders is back tending bar. No jets, no luxury, but in his own words, he's finally at peace. So the real question is, if the ATM gave you free money every night, would you take it, or would you walk away?